Welcome to the homestead. Okay, so back at the barn project. As I said before, I was kind of hemming and hawing over whether or not I would continue working on the hayloft floor and putting the joists in for that, or move on to setting the posts for the lean-tos on each side. And I've decided on setting the posts. And here's my reasoning here: is if I can get at least one side, or even part of one side, set, get these posts set, get the ledger board up for the roof, and get the, I don't know what you call it on this end, the downslope ledger board, I guess. If I can get that up, and if I can get even one stall of the lean-to side done, any portion of roofing shelter, that'll be shelter. That'll be a new shelter that will allow me to start deconstructing that and give Holly protection from the elements that's not falling down on her or being dilapidated. Now, thankfully, we haven't had any snow this year, or at least none of real significance, nothing accumulated, so it hasn't been an issue yet. Knock on wood. But the sooner I can get this as a shelter of some sort, the better. Obviously, keeping her out of the area until I have stuff set is still going to be a thing. So I may want to get all the posts set on both sides and frame together at least a little bit, because as soon as I give her access to this area, she's going to start rubbing up against it. And I don't want her to be rubbing up against unbraced posts in the ground, because you know where that goes. So I'm going to get at digging these posts. Don't know how much I'm going to show of that, because how often and how much can you see me digging posts? But I'm going to at least film it so that if something interesting comes up, I can capture that and include it in the video. So let's get going. So obviously the first thing I need to do is mark out where these posts are going to go. I think I've decided on a little bit wider than originally intending. Let me kind of shake up the paint here. So originally, I was going to follow the fence line here, and I think I explained this either in another part of this series or another video where I was working on this fence. But I was originally going to try to match up with the posts of this fence. I've abandoned that because it's just going to be too small an area. If I'm doing this, I might as well do it right. Do it right, and might as well do it sufficient to not have to be just a waylay to something else. So originally, this was only going to be about 8 feet, give or take. I'm going to go out to 10, I think. 10 should be sufficient for just about any animal that I'm going to keep in here. And I think 12 is just going to be, maybe 12 will reach over you here. I think 10 feet is going to be fine, because we're going to mainly just have this as like a lambing area, a piglet area, one animal with a couple of babies in it for a short period of time. Yeah, Holly's going to be in here, but my intention and plan is that with the last stalls, basically being able to link them together so it'll be one big stall at the end, side to side, lean-to to lean-to, including under the main part. So that'll be plenty of room for that. So I think 10 feet is going to be sufficient. That'll also help when I get the rafters, not having to get longer material for that. So I think 10 feet should be sufficient, which will make these about 8 by 10. Not huge pins, but again, we're only going to have one small animal in here at a time. We're not going to have lots of animals in here all the time, at least not in the short term. And honestly, unless we get more land, not in the long term. So 10 feet is what I'm going to go with. in determining where that post is going to set, I have to take two things into consideration. One is it square with respect to these two posts, right? So that way, and then diagonally that way. The other thing, and I think this is generally more important, is that I want it to be square with the opposite side. So as you look and you see where the posts are in line, that's generally where I want it to be. And so now we look down here where my lines are here. Okay, so did a couple things here. One is I measured out an arc from that post. The first one was from the back side of the post. Ignore this one, I messed up. This one is taking into account the thickness of the post. So this would be as though I'm measuring from the front, or the near side edge of the post. This is from the back side edge, is about 3.5 inches. All right, now you can kind of see here an arc here. That's my diagonal, and by the math, the Pythagorean math, a squared, b squared, c squared, this is where that corner is. But that's not super accurate since I'm measuring from different corners of the post. I tried to get this from the near corner as much as I could. It's more or less off. But this mark here, this is the straight in line. This is when I put the tape. I'll show you. Hooked the tape up to that far post and measured it and had it to where the tape So I got it hooked up there. I see where it is here. It's 10'2" here, which means I want to go to 20'2.5" here. 20 foot, it was 10'2.5", sorry. 10'2.5". Come here. And you see, I'm making the tape come just right up to that edge, which means that it's theoretically lined up with that far post. And you see there 20 feet 2.5 right here. So right there is where I want to put the back. So the post is going to be here, 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 here. This back corner here, the other corner here, and there. And that's how I want to frame this up and square it up with the edge of the building. As you can see, it's pretty close to that diagonal arc. Probably if I was right on the corner there with that arc, it'd probably come right to about where I'm at. So I'm probably within an inch of perfect square, as perfect as we're gonna have this. So sake of brevity, I'm going to dig this hole extra fast, just like this. Okay, post is in place. Now I don't know which one I want to do next. I really want to work on getting the ledger boards up here and everything, but it's not really going to be for anything until I get all these posts set. So as much as I loathe digging holes, just digging holes, I think I'm going to go ahead and put these next posts in, because then it does two things for me. One is it lets them set up. Wait a second, what am I saying? I don't think I have enough cross bracing to set all the other two posts, unless I use some other wood that I don't want to use for that. Got one more cross brace. I've got one more pressure treated 2x4, but I want to use that for something else. All right, changing plans, changing my plans. I'm gonna let these set up overnight. I'm gonna be done digging holes for today. So I'm gonna turn my attention to a couple things here. One is I've got some structural screws to just reinforce each of the boards that I have up for the joist for the floor. Structural screws just a little bit thicker than just the regular 3-inch or 3.5-inch deck screws that I've got. They're just going to give it a little bit more robustness to it. And I also have the wood to get this ledger up and work on that. So I think I'm going to do that for the rest of today. Try to decide what height I want to set this ledger at for the lean-to roof. Don't know if I want to put it the same height as that one, or if I want to put it up a little higher, because I gotta have enough slope, but I also gotta have it be tall enough on this end. So I'm gonna go 1 foot up from the bottom of that joist to the bottom of the ledger. Yes. Okay, so at this point I've got to make a few measurements and cuts. I've got a 10-foot 2x8 here. Couple things. Boards almost never come exactly at the dimension, at the length that they say. This one is 10 3/8, give or take, maybe 10 1/4. So I want to make sure that gets cut at exactly 10, because that's where I want it. Then for this rafter, or for this ledger, this roof, we're gonna have a 2-foot overhang on each side. So I've got to make a mark where I want that to line up with the outside face of that beam, and that will to give me that 2 foot from there, so that then the other end of the board goes right to the middle of the next post. So gonna get those marks laid out. It's also good because it helps square up your board on this end, because sometimes they're not perfectly square. Well, that math didn't work out too well. I'm lined up on the line over there that I think I want to be. But I'm up to the edge there. So I'm going to come back over here and put that where it wants to be. I know that's 10 feet. The overhang will be what it is. Tried the math and it didn't work. Not the end of the world. So using these are 5 1/8 inch structural screws. They replace a 3/8 leg. So I'll take that center screw out of that one and put this in just like I did on that one. All right, gotta go inside and help with something a little bit. So I don't know if I'm gonna get back at this tonight. Doesn't matter because you're just gonna go to the next part, whatever it is. Now, okay, yeah, I was able to come right back. So now to get that other one up. So let's see if I can this time mark it right so that that board, that support board on that part is at the right level to start with. That might make things a lot easier to start with. And then that center one's gonna be pretty much close to 8 feet. I've gotta double check the measurement exactly, but whatever it's going to be center to center, I'm gonna cut the board to match that so that then the 10-foot board on that side does the extension the way that I want it to. So I'm gonna do that. I think that's all I'm going to do tonight. I've got a little bit more daylight still here, but I've also got to do some cleanup and college football playoff game coming up. So those posts will set up overnight. We'll finish doing that in the morning. We'll get these other 2 posts set hopefully before we have to leave for gymnastics. Once those are set up after church on Sunday, we can come out, put the ledger up here, and then wait until I come back from work for the week, and we'll see where we go from there. Probably get the rafters to start putting up, at least on this side. Haven't decided if I want to put just a vertical or a horizontal brace between these posts, or if just leave it the rafters. I'll decide that later. What I'm going to do here, just explain to you, is I'm going to come back in here in between these boards, and I'm going to put a knee brace, a 4x4 knee brace coming from each side of the post, going up in between those, and then I'm going to use those structural screws on each side of both the floor joist and the rafter and help lock that in, that knee brace, help give it some horizontal stability. So I'm going to wrap up for the night. You're going to go to the next part of the video right now.